Okay, hello. So today we're going to go over how to write an introduction paragraph. So what do you want to do in an introduction? You want to introduce your topic to the reader, and you want to engage your reader, get them interested in what you're about to say. When do you want to write an introduction? So you can write it before or after you've written the body paragraphs. But it's often easier to write it after writing the body paragraphs. So the structure of an introduction paragraph, you can think of it as like an upside down triangle because it goes from broad to narrow. You're going to start broadly with the general topic of your prompt and then narrow down to your thesis statement. So here are the three main parts of an introduction paragraph. First is the hook. You want to grab your reader's attention, hook the reader in. Then there's your bridge, which is the roadmap from the hook to the thesis statement. And then last but not least is your thesis statement, the sentence summarizing what your essay will be about. The steps of writing an introduction paragraph. So step one, this is just an overview, and then we're going to look at each step one by one. So the first step is to figure out the topic of the prompt. Step two is to plan the hook. You can look at all the different types of hooks and choose a hook type that you can write about the topic with. And then step three is to actually write the hook. Step four is to plan the bridge, which is, first you want to explain how your hook is different from your thesis. And then you want to create a roadmap of how you will get from your hook to your thesis. And then step 5 is to write the bridge. The last step, step 6, is to put it all together. Okay, so let's look at step 1. Figure out the topic of the prompt. Look at what you wrote under "this prompt is asking me to" when you were unpacking the prompt. Then sum up the topic in a few words. Okay, so here was the SOL writing prompt we got. Most schools offer a variety of activities, classes, and clubs. Identify one of these that students enjoy and explain why they enjoy it. Include specific details and examples in your response. Okay, this prompt is asking me to identify an activity that students enjoy and explain why they enjoy it. So I can sum that topic up as enjoyable student activities. Remember, a topic is just a few words, like 1 to 3 words summing up what the prompt is about. Okay. Step 2, plan the hook. Look at all the different kinds of hooks. Think about which one you can use to write about this topic in a way that hooks your readers in. And again, the topic is enjoyable student activities. Okay. Now let's look at the different kinds of hooks we could use. So one type of hook is a quote. So a quote about the topic by someone famous or by someone you know in real life. Again, our topic is enjoyable student activities. So here's a quote by a well-known professor, Randy Pausch. He said, "Never ever underestimate the importance of having fun." Okay? Here is a quote that maybe your friend once said to you. "Fun stuff is the only thing that makes school bearable," my friend once said. So both of these are quotes. One is by someone who's more famous and well-known, and the other is by someone that you know. You can use either of those, as long as it's relevant to your topic. Okay. The next kind of hook is a definition. You give a definition of the main word of the topic. So again, our topic is enjoyable student activities. The main word there might be something like enjoy or fun. Okay? So here's an example of a definition hook. To enjoy something means to take delight in it. Another kind of hook you can do is an interesting question or series of questions about the topic. So again, our topic for this essay prompt is enjoyable student activities. Here's an example of a question you could use to hook your reader in about that topic. Have you ever wondered if there are any educational activities that students actually enjoy doing? Another kind of hook is what's called a narrative description, to describe a situation or scenario related to the topic. So again, the topic, enjoyable student activities. Here is an example of a narrative description hook for that. A student sits at her desk, eyes glazed on her phone. Her English teacher's words feel like mind-numbing background noise. Suddenly the bell rings and her heart jumps. She's about to go to art class. So here, it's like you're starting a story and you really want to paint a picture in the reader's mind to hook them in. Okay. Another kind of hook is called a basic human truth, something that is true about all people no matter where they're from, what they look like, etc., and that's related to the topic. So again, our topic is enjoyable student activities. So here's an example of like a basic human truth hook for that. All people, no matter age, time period, or place, want to find activities that they enjoy. Finally, the last kind of hook you can do is a fact or statistic about the topic. So again, our topic is enjoyable student activities. Here's an example of a fact or statistic about that. Bored. That is the top word teenagers used to describe how they felt about school in a recent Gallup poll. Okay, step 3, write the hook. So why don't we look at all the different hooks we came up with and see which one is most likely to get our readers interested in what we're about to write. So we have our quote, our definition, our question, our narrative description, our basic human truth, and our fact or statistic. So there's a couple here that might work. For this one, I think I'm going to go with the fact or statistic as my hook, the first sentence of my introduction. Okay, step 4 is to plan the bridge. Look at your hook and your thesis statement. Ask yourself, how is my thesis statement different from my hook? Based on the difference, create a roadmap of how you will get from your hook to your thesis. Okay, so let's first look at our hook and our thesis statement. So here's our hook, and here's our thesis statement. Then I have to ask myself, how is my thesis statement different from my hook? So, looking at both of them, so for the hook, bored. That is the top word teenagers use to describe how they felt about school in a recent Gallup poll. Then my thesis statement. Theater is an enjoyable activity for many students because they can express themselves and be physically active. So the difference is that the hook is about how most teenagers are bored at school, and the thesis statement is about a specific activity students enjoy, theater. So in order to go from the hook to the thesis statement, I'm going to go from talking about how most students are bored in school to how there are some enjoyable school activities to specifically theater. Okay, step 5, I'm going to write the bridge. So you want to have your hook and thesis statement in front of you. And then place your cursor to write text in between the hook and the thesis statement. Use your roadmap to guide you in writing the bridge. Okay, so here's our roadmap. I'm going to go from talking about how most students are bored in school, in my hook, to how there are some enjoyable school activities, and then to specifically theater. Okay, so here's an example of a bridge I could make to connect my hook to my thesis statement. And let's start reading from the hook to see if it all flows well. So, bored. That is the top word teenagers use to describe how they felt about school in a recent Gallup poll. However, now bridge. However, there are actually a few activities and classes at school that students enjoy. One of them is theater. And then my thesis statement. Theater is an enjoyable activity for many students because they can express themselves and be physically active. Okay, step 6, add it all together. Okay, so we have our hook in blue, we have our bridge in green, and we have our thesis in red. Okay, thank you for watching.